Welcome back, Shit Talkers. It's your two favorite dads on the show of Two Dads Talking. Shh. I'm Logan,
I'm Daniel.
and we're just two ordinary dads getting together, talking about current events and what's going on in our lives. Daniel, let's start with you. What's new on your end besides your fresh new haircut? I see.
Well, with it being no Shavember, I'm going to try to start growing a beard.
How's that going?
It was really good, but I was talking to one of my customers, and he sells beer balms and beer oils, and fantastic story, which we got to talk about in one of our episodes. But yeah, he's giving me some beard balm and stuff like that to help me start growing a beard. And because I just got a haircut, got to start fresh, man.
Well, I mean, you got that baby face, so maybe growing a beard won't be too bad for you, so you don't get carded at 7-Eleven every time you're trying to buy a beer or something. You know, personally, for me, I don't know. I wish I could grow one of those fatherly, those grandpa beards that you see guys have. But personally, I look like a cat struck by lightning. I got a patch here, a patch there. It's just not pretty. So as much as I have the desire, I don't think I have the ability to grow one of those awesome beards. But real quick, since you said it's a client of yours, why don't you give your client a quick shout out so they can be seen by all the rest of the shit talkers and maybe get some of their products?
Absolutely. So you guys got to connect with Kevin Gouran with Goodbeard, and in the link below on our YouTube, I'll be providing a link to you guys to check out his products. It's really been amazing stuff, man. It's really amazing.
Cool. And you should probably get with you said his name is Kevin.
Yep.
Get with Kevin and let him know that if maybe you can come up with a little discount code for the shit talking army out there, because I know we have a lot of guys that do have beards, or maybe you're like yourself thinking about growing one, and maybe we can get them a little discount on some of the products so they can try them out for themselves. What else is new? How are the boys?
Growing like crazy, man. Potentially here, we're our oldest. He's could be potentially starting preschool as early as December.
Oh man, that's an exciting time.
When they say blink, when people blink, your kids grow older, however that goes, dude, I got to stop blinking. My boys are growing up so fast.
I totally understand. I feel the exact same way. I feel like it was yesterday that, I'm just holding my kids in my hands and my arms, and now they barely want to give their dad hugs, and they're all, I have a son that's going to be a senior next year and a daughter who's already causing trouble at the school with boys and friends and, doing what she does. And then my little guy, I mean, heck, he's looking at me eye to eye, I mean, he picks me up and holds me in his arms these days, and he's only 12. So I get it. That's exciting stuff. Anything else new and exciting going on with you or with your business?
Not too much. Just a lot of really getting connected with a lot of new amazing people within the community of Broomfield and the Denver metro area, and also out in California. Just meeting some really great and amazing people, and just what an honor to be part of an amazing network.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. It's tough out here. So any way you can make it happen, from a business standpoint or personal standpoint, I say go for it, because like I said, it's tough out here, and you got to make your own hay, as they say. You can't count on others to do for you what you can do for yourself. So I greatly appreciate that.
And how's everything going for you? You've asked me, how is everything going for you, man?
I mean, life is life, man. We have our ups and downs and our struggles, but we're also, like, they say, too blessed to be stressed. So as long as we keep our eyes focused on the right things, good things typically follow. I will tell you, I did have an interesting experience, and I think it's going to be the topic of our show today. On Halloween, I was driving to pick up my youngest son, who's 12 years old, from a Halloween party, and I get a text message from a friend from home. Now, a lot of people maybe have heard me mention my hometown. I'm a very proud Texas boy. I mean, I wasn't born there, but I was raised there since I was 5, all the way up through high school. So I consider myself a Texan, and I really love the community in which I grew up in. It's called the Woodlands, Texas. If you know it now, it's a big, thriving metropolis. I think it probably has over 100,000 people that live there, and they have malls and skyscrapers and river walks and amphitheaters to go see some of the latest, hottest acts that come through the Houston area. But when I grew up there, it was called the Woodlands, and their little slogan was a real hometown. Now, the founder of the Woodlands, a guy called George Mitchell, what made the Woodlands kind of unique at the time, it's called a master plan community. And it was one of the first of its kind. And basically, what that just means is they took a bunch of golf courses and built houses around them and bike trails all through them. And people came out and built more houses, more bike trails, and the community grew. But George's original concept was he wanted a place where people could live, work, shop, entertain themselves, all in this kind of Norman Rockwell, and that's the painter's name, Norman Rockwell, kind of a setting, this Leave It to Beaver kind of setting, So it was so when I grew up there, it was a really, really kind of a magical place. We had a couple elementary schools, one middle school, one junior high, and one high school. Sorry, of course, my phone's going to go crazy. Let me silence that. So really, everyone really knew everyone at that time. It was very, very quaint. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Very quaint. Uh, and that's what kind of made it magical. But also, for some folks, that's what also made it a little angst, because some people could get kind of clicked up in things, and it was a very it was and still is a very affluent community. So you definitely had the haves and the have-nots. I was a have-not, but you definitely got to see how the other half lived. Now, the reason why I bring this all to you is that everyone that I'm about to talk about goes back to second grade, when I first enrolled there in the Woodlands. My mother and I moved to Houston when I was 5, but I enrolled in school in the Woodlands in second grade. And I went to school with all these people from second grade all the way through high school. And some I've stayed in contact with more than others, but still the Woodlands is very much 6 degrees of separation. You can probably find most people that you went to school with within a phone call or two or Facebook post or two. So when I get this text on Halloween, it's one friend of mine telling me that she just got in a big fight with another classmate of ours over me. Now, of course, I'm a grown ass man. I'm a middle-aged man in my 50s. I'm thinking, how could two classmates get into it with each other so much that one classmate ends up hanging up on the other one because their words got heated? Now, to paint the picture a little bit more, I've only been back to the Woodlands twice in over 30 years. 2 years ago, my daughter had a regional gymnastics, or almost 3 years ago, a regional gymnastics tournament there in Houston. So we went back for that. It was in Spring, Texas, which is right down the road from the Woodlands. We're there for a few days for that. And then just recently, as you've heard on our last episode, I went back to Texas to take care of some storage facilities my mother had out there. My mother, who lives with us, has out there. And, we had been navigating this for about 15 years, these storage facilities. And so enough was enough. So we went and got rid of them. So beyond that, I have not been home. I haven't made it to any of my class reunions. Sorry to say, life always came up or something always happened where I wasn't able to make it. And so I just have not been back for any stretch of the imagination back to my hometown, even though I'm still very close with quite a few people that I went to school with there and speak to them often. So when I hear that, two classmates of mine get in a fight with each other to the point where one hangs up on the other over me. It was very puzzling, to say the least. Like, first of all, I can't believe that, my name would be on anyone's lips, after 30 some odd years. Secondly, I'm surprised that, people even remember me back in my hometown after, again, 30 plus years of being away from there. And just to put it in context, I graduated in 92. So, and I haven't really been back since. It was very puzzling. And so the thing is, the reason for the fight was that apparently in junior high, which our junior high there at that time was a little place called Knox Junior High. And I apparently gave a kid a nickname. And all these years later, he is still crossed up over this nickname. Now, in all due fairness to me, I don't recall it. I don't recall giving a person a nickname. Um,
Especially
and
back
he said
second grade.
I bullied him with this nickname. Uh, you know, I wasn't one of those kind of kids that I didn't like doing what they call the dozens, where people cut on each other, and eventually it gets down to talking about people's mama. I mean, I was an only child, single mom in the struggle, trying to keep food on the tables, a roof over our heads. If you talked about my mama, I had to kill you. That was just kind of the way it went. So I really didn't enjoy, and I still don't. My frat brothers and them like to get together and, you know, talk crap, and that's just not my thing. I rather be an uplifter than just try to dog folks out. So I don't remember the nickname, and it baffles me. The only reason why I give it any credence is that I am kind of famous for nicknaming people. Now typically if I like you and I'm friends with you, I'll nickname you in some regards, and a lot of it has to do with at times I'm terrible with names, but if I nickname you, I'll remember you for the rest of my life as that nickname, and I'll know who I'm talking about, why I'm talking about them, and can tell you a funny anecdote of the reason why they came about their nicknames. Now, I will tell you that also most people that do receive a nickname from me, they love it. Like, one of my best friends who lives in Florida, Miss Phyllis, I call her Sweet Pea. And, and even her husband's picked up on like Sweet Pea, da 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 da, or what have you. My wife would know, like, who you on the phone with? Oh, I'm on the phone with Sweet Pea. Oh, tell Sweet Pea I said hello. So most times it's in fun, it's in good spirit. It's meant to be uplifting, and I'm just not a mean spirited person. So only thing I can say is if this did happen, and if I was the cause of this nickname this guy got, it was probably because we were on the bus driving back from a football game or something of that nature. The guys were in the back talking crap like they were talking crap, and he probably said something to me, and he probably was like, whoop de whoop de woo. And and like I said, I don't enjoy the whole talking crap about people game, but if you have something to say, I got a witty little mind, and I think quickly on my feet. I probably was like, gotcha, type of thing. So when this person came to me, because she was coming to me to say, hey, and she was defending me, but she once all this went down, she came to me to say, hey, uh did you actually give this guy this nickname? She was defending me, saying, no, he wouldn't have done that, or that don't sound like him, or whatever. So big props out to you, Super K, because I appreciate you defending me without even knowing if it was true or not, just because you didn't want your boy's name getting slandered, and you felt like you weren't going to let someone talk about your buddy without you having something to say. So that out there, boys and girls, shit talking nation, that means that's a good friend, someone that will come to your defense and be all about it and have your back without even knowing if it's true. So she came to me and said, hey, this is what happened. This is what was said. Is this true? And I'm like, for the life of me, I don't remember it. But for the life of me, I do nickname people, so it probably was me. But my first initial reaction to all of this was, you know, man, give me that guy's number. Let me call and apologize to him. Now, just to give you a little background story of this guy, this really kind of all started in elementary school. Now, in elementary school, I was one of the very few kids in my whole entire elementary school that was a person of color. And in fact, most of my time in my elementary school, which was I'm a Haley Comet. All the people in this whole story here are Haley Comets. I didn't have a lot of people that looked like me. I mean, ethnic varieties at all, Hispanic, Asian. I mean, there was usually like maybe one here, one there, one of me, so on and so forth. I mean, this was pretty much as white of a school as you could possibly get. In fact, I even had kids walk up to me during that time saying, "Oh, my parents and I were surprised when, we pulled up to school to sign me in for the first time because they told us there were no black kids here, and we pulled up and saw you walking into school." I'm like, "Well, surprise, there's one." Hope that didn't ruin your experience. But I mean, it was like I said, it was very much Norman Rockwell. And it was very much not very much diversity. But there was one other kid that popped into our school and that still lives in the community. And shout out to him, another Super K out there. That he and I lived in an apartment complex across the street from our school. And so he had told me at one point in time that this kid had said something about my mother. Now, again, you can say about whatever you want to say about me, to me, whatever. Still to this day, I mean, you can call me out my name, call me whatever you want to call me. I don't really get hot and bothered. I don't care. I don't get easily offended by things. I'm not one of these people always clutching my pearls and like, "Oh, you said this," or I'm not. You can be politically incorrect, around me. A lot of my good friends and I, we send each other irreverent jokes. I'm just, I'm a normal dude. I'm like, if I like you and I like you and I know you like me, you can say whatever you want to say to me irreverently, and we're going to probably be okay. We could probably laugh on it and move on down the road. But one thing, again, I will not tolerate is someone saying something about my mama. So this other kid said something about my mom. And I was like, all right, let's go show him. So after school, we marched over to the school and they were having soccer practice like a lot of little leagues do after school. And so we waited for after soccer practice. And so I went to confront this kid and he was like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." And he turned around and he pointed towards the other kid that brought me and said, "It was him who said something." And so as I turned around and saw that kid and his eyes got real big and he takes off running, I take off running after him and I end up tackling. Now I got a track scholarship, so I was always fast. I end up tackling this kid, giving him a few of them. And not too badly, but a little something just to let him know that I didn't appreciate it dragging me over there. And I certainly didn't appreciate him, talking about my mama. And just want to let him know that, that ain't gonna slide around me. So he hops up and he's crying and he talks about, "I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna go get my machete." Now I'm in grade school. I can't even remember. And what's crazy is behind the school is where all the buses, would come and pick up the kids for, take them home. So at this time, all these moms are pulling up in their Cadillacs. This is before Mercedes and BMWs and all those, Lexuses wasn't even a thought at that time. Before all those luxury foreign brands, if you had some money back in the day, you had a Cadillac. So all these moms are pulling up to pick up their kids from soccer practice, and they're standing outside just smoking them Virginia Slims, them Coretta Devilles, cigarettes. And they see this big commotion of all their little boys. Because again, we're like, third grade or something. I mean, it's not very old, third, fourth grade. And they see this one kid tackle this other kid and, giving him a couple of them. And of course they're like, "Ah." And so this kid jumps up and again he says, "I'm gonna go home and get my machete." Now for the life of me, Daniel, I had no idea what a machete was at the time, but I knew I did not want to meet it. And I knew that this kid's apartment was before mine, so I would have to run home past his apartment to get to my apartment. And so I wanted to get home and before he got a chance to make it home and get his machete and come back and meet me in the parking lot somewhere because again, I didn't know what a machete was, but it sounded awful official and I did not want to meet it. So uh this other kid that I was really close with at the time, his name was Ryan Van Landingham. Rest in peace, brother. He was kind of my best buddy at the time. His dad was a soccer coach, and he asked, "Hey, man, do you want to come to my house?" And I'm like, bro, I would love to come over and play, but I got to get home. I don't know what this machete thing's all about. I got to go. Unfortunately, Ryan passed when we were kids of cancer. But he was just a great guy, great kid, great family. Hope the Van Landinghams, wherever the rest of the kids are, hope they're doing well, and I hope Mr. and Mrs. Van Landingham are still out there and doing well. So again, rest in peace to Ryan. So as I go to turn to run, this kid that I'm having this issue, this guy, a grown man now that I'm having this issue with now, yells out, "Let's get him!" And you hear, ah. And I have like these, I don't know how many kids are on a little kids soccer team. It felt like 20 of them, but I don't know, maybe there's 10, 15. I don't know how many of them are now. They all start charging me. Like, I mean, I'm by myself. This whole little soccer team led by this one little motherfucker is charging me. And so I'm going to run because again, I got to beat this kid home for the machete because I'm really worried about that. But what they did not suspect to happen was I turned around and I started charging right into the herd. I started charging right back at him. Now, again, I'm the only black kid in the damn school or near it, besides the kid I just put some knuckles to at the time. He was there for 5 minutes. And I'm charging right at him and I'm yelling at this ringleader, "They might get me, but I'm going to get you." And and so right as we were about to commence, the ringleader gets the bold idea of like, wait a minute, this dude is not backing up and he's coming straight for me. So he stopped and all the crowd stops behind him and he looks around and he's like, well, that kid did call his mom a name and maybe we should leave him alone. And all the other guys were, yeah, maybe we should leave him alone. Maybe. Now again, there's like 15 or 20 of them. There's only me, but they were like, yeah, we don't want that smoke. So this kind of starts there. Now, obviously, the kid that decided that it was not better for his health, not to continue the charge. He was a popular kid. He's been a popular kid our whole existence. That's why, again, this kind of shocks me that whatever was spoken back in junior high had affected this kid because, again, he was probably, one of the more popular kids in our grade always, if not the most popular in his own way. Always dated nice looking girls. And, he wasn't like one of these little dudes that got shoved in lockers or got wedgies and, no girl ever wanted to be around him. I mean, so to hear that he has this angst and this trouble with me after, again, we're middle-aged men now, it just really kind of blew me away. Now, my first initial response once hearing this news was, oh man, hey, give me that guy's number and, let me call him and just tell him I'm sorry. Like, hey, I don't recall it. I'm not going to say I did it, but you know what? I do nickname folks. It probably was me. I'm sure, we were probably talking crap on the back of the bus and you said something to me, hurt my feelings. So I said something back to you to hurt your feelings and, never meant for it to stick. But then my friend went on to tell me, well, he said to tell you, he saw your podcast and, who's fat now? I was like, yeah, I'm not the little track guy I used to be. I went to school on a track scholarship. Many moons from that. And yes, I've gained some weight. I own it. I probably should be on a diet, like, do some walks around the lab, around the block, But you know what? I'm comfortable with who I am in my skin. Got a loving wife, loving family, loving friends that love me for who I am today. And so I own it. The thing that was disappointing, what else he had to say, he threw in a racial slur, which I never would have thought this guy would have been that guy. I think that, I will choose to say that he was at a low moment, maybe had a little too much, liquid courage in him. And so I'm hoping it was just a low moment and that's not truly who he is today, because I had thought very highly of him, always. And I would hate to think that this is where his life has, where this is where he's gotten to. But I want to tell that guy out there, bro. First of all, you had a chance to come see me face to face when I was in Texas a couple of weeks ago. The mutual friend that you got so upset with and was talking crap to invited you to come out, meet us out for dinner. You didn't show, even though you were supposed to, from what I understand. And you could have, come look me in my eye and said, "Hey, man, I don't, I got problems. I got problems with you." And I would have been like, "What, man? Why? What? Why? How we got problems after 30 years of me not being here?" And you could have said, "In junior high, you hurt my feelings with this nickname." Now, I do have to give him a little bit of grace, because another kid we went to school with that was part of that soccer team against in second grade. Apparently, I guess how this got all re-triggered was that they were at a wedding, two classmates and one classmate's wife, and the wife introduced this guy by the nickname, saying, "Hi, this is my friend so and so," nickname behind it, because she thought it was his name. And so he was obviously very upset by that and triggered by that. And so this is what brought it all back up for him, apparently. And I'm here to say, first of all, again, like I've said several times, I haven't been home in 30 years. I only talked to a very select few people that I was close with back then. My best friend from freshman year, Robert Charles Priato III, Lieutenant Colonel, is still my best friend. We talk all the time. We've never been apart. I still am very good friends with several other people that I talk to, if not, on a monthly basis, or, every couple months, or, definitely a couple times a year, we'll catch up with each other, see how things are going. But, I'm always very accessible. It's not hard to get my phone number. It's not hard to, reach out to me or find me, whatever. I mean, I'm not hidden. If you have a problem with me, you could get a hold of me. Somebody would know someone that could get me a message or get me a phone number. I mean, I called one person and got this kid's phone number, and since that time, yes, I did call him. He chose not to answer. I left him a message and, fully gave him my name and number, and I haven't heard from him. It's been a few days. So the point of all this whole conversation is on twofold. First and foremost, words do matter. And, and when you even think in a teasing fashion, no harm intended, you say something to someone, you don't really understand how that's going to land and how that will affect them and their outlook on themselves. I know we've had classmates that, were anorexic because somebody, had mentioned, like, "Oh, you're looking a little fat," or "looking a little this or a little that." And it caused anorexia and bulimia and eating disorders among some of our other classmates. And so words matter. And I just really want to say, no matter what this kid had to say back, because really it doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm surrounded by too much love in my life, too many people that matter. I know who I am. I know the contributions I try to make in my community. I know, just again, I mean, I'm not trying to brag or be like whatever, or like I'm so great, because I have my issues like everyone else does. I promise you, I have plenty of problems, but having true people that are down for me, that love me, that I love back, that I root for, that I cheer for, that cheer for me, that uplift me when I'm down, and I try to lift up when they're down. I'm very very blessed in that area. I mean, I'm what's that dude's name from supposedly the richest man ever, like Mansa Musa or whatever that African king's name. I'm that guy in love and respect from all my cherished friends, and I love them dearly. So really, what this guy had to say in some childhood stuck in a small town mindset community, what he has to say does not matter, but it still does not negate the fact that I potentially, at one point in time, in my big wisdom of seventh or eighth grade, Knox Junior High, said something to this guy that has obviously affected him so deeply that to this day he still, you know, got some kind of feeling about it and on his heart and the outlook and the way he looks at himself. So to you, the nickname was Alfat. Mr. Alfat, from me, my most of the world knew me back then as Joseph Jordan, my middle name. I went by my middle name, not Logan, my first name. From Joseph Jordan, I am here to say from the bottom of my heart, without a doubt, please accept my most sincere apology. Because no matter what you've had to say back or how you feel about me or the racial slur or whatever, I personally know that I did not intend to adversely affect you the way this nickname has apparently affected you. Now, I will also say in my defense, I've called like three or four people that knew me well, that were very popular, that were very in the know and very tuned in, and not a single person remembers this nickname. So if anyone's keeping it alive out there, it's probably your boy that his wife said this about you, said this to you at the wedding, because nobody else seems to remember it. And like I said, I called several people that were definitely in the know, that were definitely really good friends with you, good friends of mine, and people that would have, if there was a salacious nickname given, would have been in the mix to remember it or laughed about it or whatever. And nobody remembers this name. So again, I apologize from the very, very bottom of my heart that uh, if I was the one who gave this to you and this did affect you in such a manner, please accept my apology. And for all the shit talking army out there, you know, even though it's fun to, you know, jive your friends and jab and this, that, and to do the dozens and all the stuff that we talk about, but just remember words matter and words do hurt. And, you know, and something that you might think is a no big deal to you might be a very big deal to someone else. So try to be kind, try to be uplifting, try to be someone that other people would want to look back on kindly and not look back on in this manner. So I would like to tell everyone, I promise next episode, I will allow Daniel to chat. It's just always something seems to come up. In the meantime, I have older kids and things. I'm a little bit older than him, so seems like life comes at me a little bit faster than him at the moment. But I did make him me a promise that next episode, Daniel will lead it, probably talk about something that he's much more interested in than bullying and all the rest, because he's such a nice guy. I'm sure there's nobody out there that thinks ill of him as they think of me. But we love you, shit talking army. And Daniel, you have anything you'd like to add?
Bullying, I'm going to just touch on bullying.
Mm-hmm.
I've had in the past, I've been bullied and stuff through school and stuff like that. But how I looked at that was it made me who I am today. It's like,
Maybe tell about your experience. What happened to you in school? How bad was the bullying for you? Since
I
I'm the
didn't get
bully, you can tell about how maybe it feels to be on the other side of it.
just about words. Words do matter and stuff like that. Where just be like, "Oh, you're not good enough," or "You're big." I was an artist, so they're like, "Oh, Mr. Da Vinci," and all that, and it's like, I, I looked at it as, "Hey, I looked at it as a compliment," you know. And it's one of those situations where it made me who I am today, and it's like, if yeah, I don't have, I don't have anything to say to them. It's, I am who I am today, and I moved on with my life. Life is too short to hold on to things, small things like that. And, you know, I am who I am today, you know?
Well, I mean, you own a business as an artist, and it really has shaped who you are professionally and how we got to know each other. So, uh, I applaud you for being able to rise above. I'm sure at the time it was probably pretty hurtful what people were saying, and maybe gave yourself a chance to have a little self doubt. But I'm glad you were able to say, hey, I'm not going to let someone else define me. I'm going to define myself.
Hmm.
And I know that's one thing I try to instill in my kids all the time is that no one's going to love you better than you love you. And no matter what someone might say, no matter what might be going on in my life, or maybe, sometimes you're going to be, on the top of that wave surfing, looking beautiful. Sometimes you're going to be that dude getting smashed against the coral. And either way, you need to learn to love yourself, respect yourself, and pick yourself up and realize that you define you. No one else's opinion of you will define you better than you define yourself. So I would say that to that gentleman too is, hey, quit looking in the past. Where are you at now? Where are you trying to go? How are you going to get there? And find people that love you enough to surround you and help, just keep a little nudge at your back, keep moving you forward towards those goals because they love you, not because they're just trying to, get something from you. So, um, I know for me, I want to thank my friend again, Super K. You were awesome for having my back. To the other Super K, that sorry, hope sorry I probably embarrassed you back in grade school, and I wouldn't doubt if we didn't run into each other. Now that I figured you'd be the one trying to get some retribution, not this other kid, because I know you're still in the community, and I think that kid went to the Navy and's kind of a big old boy now. But so hey, let's be cool if we see each other. I'm a grown man. I don't like to solve problems with fist anymore. But of course, if I still have to go out back and solve a problem, we can do that. But I would prefer to talk it out. At this point in time, I would prefer to talk it out. But for any other classmates or any other people uh, in my life that's come into my life as a pleasure of coming across me or me coming across you, however that meant to be said. If there's anything I've ever said or done that has caused you angst or pause, please accept my apology. I mean, different times in my life, I wasn't as mature as I probably should have been and maybe didn't handle all situations as best as I could. But if there is anyone I can directly say I'm sorry to, and that you're owed an apology, get a hold of me because it'd be my pleasure to give that apology to you. So for everyone else out there, let's just try to be better as a society. Let's lift each other up. We can have differences and we can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, let's show each other respect, let's show each other love, and let's try to be the very best we can be for each other so that we can celebrate each other's successes, not trying to tear each other down. That's how I choose to look at it. So, again, Mr. Alfat, please accept my, if I gave you that nickname, please accept my apology. It was not my intention for you to be a middle aged grown man still, hurting over something that happened on probably a bus in junior high coming back from a football game, because that's usually when most of that shit was talked. So, um, hope we can move forward. You have my number, and if you want to call and talk about this directly, we can. Be my pleasure to do that, and maybe we can get beyond it. and and just catch up and see how we've been doing over the last 30 years, and see where our lives are taking us and what's good going on, not something like this.